Alright, welcome back to the Sci Fi Case, part 12. So in this tutorial, we're going to basically smooth out this mesh, add some supporting edge loops. You can see when I hit number 3 here, it's rather rubbery. And so we want to solidify that, and we're going to do this right now using the edge loop tool. So I'm going to double click on the insert edge loop tool, make sure the relative distance is selected. And I think I will go back into object mode for a sec here. I think I'm going to isolate this object just to make it a little easier for me. Now eventually I'm going to delete half the mesh, but for right now I'm going to, because I already have this side sealed off, and basically I just have to repeat that on the other side. So I'll just keep this side and delete the other half and mirror it. So that's ultimately what will happen here. But let's add the edge loops first. So we're going to add in the back one, in the front here one, and then the bottom one. And so that'll start to give structure. When I hit number 3, you can see how it's getting a little more solid. Hit number 1, and then I'm going to add a couple of edge loops right here and here. Do the same thing on this side. Even though this is the side I'm going to delete, I just kind of want to see it for right now. On the inside here, I'm going to add edge loop right there, and then right there. And then let's see, we need to, so right here you can see how there's like this outside line here, but there's not one down here, so it has this big rubbery kind of drop off. So if I add an edge loop right there, you can see how much more support there is there. Also on the inside here, we need some more edge loops, so we're gonna go in here and maybe add one across right here, and one here, and one here. And let's see, any other ones? Aha, one. So on the front face here, this will help kind of tighten up this edge. And then right in here, we'll kind of do that too, right there. And I could do one here if I want a real sharp corner, but I kind of like the top to be a little rounded right here. So when I hit number 3, I kind of like how it rounds off a little bit there on the edge. So it's looking pretty good. Looks like on the inside here, we could go tighter with another edge loop right here. So that would tighten off that little part there. And then another one right in there. We'll tighten that off. And let's see, any other ones? Looks like we got the ones on the inside there. Final ones might be on the inside here. The one here and here. Let's see how that looks. Click out, go to 3, click off. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. I don't see any weird kind of pinching. There's a little bit there. Let's see, what number 1, what would need to reduce that? There's not a whole lot I could do. I could bring another edge loop across this way, which might help. So let me try that right here, like that. There we go. That looks pretty good. And on the back here, I like that it has a little bit of fall off here, but I want to bring in a little bit of an edge. So I'm going to add one edge about there. And so when I click off and go to object mode, hit number 3, it kind of holds that a little bit. I do like how it rounds off a little bit because it kind of emphasizes that roundness there. But this should do it. This looks pretty good here. So now again, I want to keep the right side, and I can delete this left side of the mesh. So I can do it a couple different ways. Probably the easiest is just to select this face, double click, which is that whole edge loop, and hit delete. And then I can just double click that whole side and hit the delete key, and it is gone. So now we got just the cool side here. Now when I hit W and go to object mode, you can see my pivot's way out there. So I want to center my pivot. I can click on my hotkey here, center pivot, but that's under modify, and there's center pivot right there. And then what I want to do with that pivot is I actually want to bring it down to this edge here, because this is the middle edge. This is where I basically want to mirror it across this piece of geometry. There's 2 different ways you can mirror geometry. You can mirror it across the major point here, meaning the grid, but that wouldn't help mirroring it across this way because of, you know, where it's located. At least I don't think it would. I think it needs to be on here precisely. We could test it out real quick. Let me just see, because I'm kind of curious. I'm not sure about that. I could be wrong. So it's under mesh mirror. There we are. So we're doing the world. So we're going ZX. So it would be under, it would be the Z direction, and it would be the plus. Yeah. So you can see here, it's bringing over on this side, but it's not mirroring across here. So this wouldn't work for this situation. So I'm just going to undo that until I get back to where I had just one piece. There we are. So again, hit W. We are going to bring this guy down. So the way you move the pivot point is you can hold the D key down, and that basically releases the pivot, and then you hit D again to kind of bring it back to normal. Or the insert key is another way to do it. So I'm just going to hold D, and now I can move this where I want. And if I hold V, I can snap it to a point, and I want to snap it right to there, and then hit D to escape out. So now when I mirror, I can mirror across the Z axis in the positive direction. So I'll go to mesh, and then mirror, and then Z under object, and Z, and we want to be in the positive, not the minus. So now you can see it's one whole airtight mesh minus the back, which is pretty cool. And now I can basically repeat this process. So I can go mesh, mirror, and this time I'm going to mirror across the world in the x-axis, and that will give me a whole complete guy here. So now this is one big whole, you know, solid thing, which I can hit number 3 just to see how it looks. Looks great. Hit number 1, and then I can do the mesh and mirror again, and this time it will mirror it across in the correct Z. So now we have it on both sides. So let me undo this little guy here. So now you can see the entire mesh here. Let's go ahead and hit number 3 on all that, and then click off, and you can kind of see how nice it looks. Now, the whole idea here is that maybe these pieces here rotate independently. Right now, they're rotating. Whoa, that's interesting. Yeah, what we have to do is you have to group stuff in order to rotate. Otherwise, you get what's known as double transformations. So, yeah, and then you would want to delete the history, of course. So, I think ultimately what I want to do with this is delete the history, and then, but I might, just in case I make some changes, I might look at this later on and go, you know, maybe I need to do a little slot or something before I do the latches. I want to keep this as one mesh until then, because then I could repeat that same mirroring process to change everything up. So everything looks pretty good. Lastly, I might want to mirror this guy over. It looks like I didn't do that yet. The frame here I forgot to do, so we can do that. Go to mesh and mirror, and now it's moved over in the Z axis. And now we can do mesh and mirror, and now we can do it another direction. Let's see the X, and there we go. So now we got it all 4 corners. That looks cool. Click off. Nice. I'm starting to dig this. So the next tutorial, I think we're gonna have to create some latches for this thing. You know, right now it's got the exterior has lots of cool stuff going on. You know, from the geometry, there's lots of cool little holes and stuff. You know, it'd be great to texture and add, you know, some cool little shadows and whatever. It has a nice seam line here and everything. Yeah, I feel like the geometry overall is really good. So now it just needs to have some like smaller details, like a latch system in here. I think would be the next thing to work on. Yeah, so looking forward to that. And so until next time, see you soon. Cheers.